I first heard of Mossy Horns from Al Dawson, because he had permission to hunt up on the Dan Thomas farm. And he had told me about this huge buck he had been seeing, and that he had down tines hanging down the side of his head that looked like moss hanging from his rack. So he called him old Mossy Horns. Al had hunted this deer for 5 years. He had hunted him hard. And he would see him probably maybe once, sometimes twice during the season. But usually something would happen, he wouldn't get a shot at him. 1962 was the year that I got Mossy Horns. And it was getting kind of late in the season, and rifle season was going to open up that weekend. So we thought we'd better get up there and do some hunting before somebody else got Mossy. So we left work about 4:30. We got up there and we discovered Al Dawson was already up there. We didn't have much time, about 45 minutes to hunt. So I hurriedly put up my portable stand and got on it and waited. And well, first I strung out a little Pete Rickard's buck lure, kind of dribbled it down the tree and put it on my stand and around. And so I waited and waited and nothing happened. Didn't see a squirrel or anything out there. It was really dead. And I thought, well, this is another one of those evenings where I see nothing. And about that time, I heard a big noise, something coming through the brush. And about that time, Mossy come popping out of the woods. And of course, needless to say, I was pretty excited because I'd heard about him. Al had told me about him, but I had never seen him. I thought, well, at least I saw him now anyway. And he walked up about 15 yards, almost broadside, but kind of a quartering shot from the front, which I didn't want. But I'd rather had a quartering shot from the rear, but I thought, well, it's now or never, I better take it. So I let him have it. And he turned and ran to the brush and sounded like a bulldozer. And so I waited for a few minutes, and it was getting kind of late then. It was starting to get dark. So I came back in the morning, and Al was already there. He had lost the trail, though. He couldn't find any more blood. So I started making circles, and pretty soon I ran into him. And there he was. His head was still up. Rack caught in the willows, looked like he was still alive. And so I slipped up, and then I could see that he was dead. So I called Al, and he came in, and he says, "You got old Mossy." I said, "I did." He was disappointed, I know, but he was excited. I felt bad about it because Al had hunted him for 5 years and hunted him so hard, and then I come in and take him. You have to have feelings. And but then I kind of got over it. The thing that I've noticed about Mossy's rack, it's pretty much a typical deer with all of these little non-typical points around on it, and where he gained a lot of score was on the two down tines that came down on both sides of his head. And he had a three-pointed wing out on the right side, and on the left side he had a single point sticking out. The year before, the rack that he shed had those same characteristics on it. And then there was a smaller rack that was found he shed about 5 years before, and it still had those similar characteristics to it, so we knew it was Mossy's rack that he had shed, which is kind of unusual. In fact, I would say very unusual that you would find 3 racks from a world record deer in the wild. This is the Ishii Award. This award is issued for an outstanding world record by Pope and Young. This was the first year that the Ishii Award came out. I got Mossy back in 1962, and he was by far the world record for Pope and Young at that time, and there hasn't been anything too close to him since. Whether he'll ever be broken or not, one never knows.